Ulysses describes how he was held prisoner by a Cyclops, a one-eyed giant. It is 5 p.m. Bloom enters Barney Kiernan's pub where he meets the Citizen, a rabid nationalist filled with racial hatred. He cannot accept that a Jew like Bloom can ever be considered fully Irish. Joyce believed there was a fellowship of alienation between the Irish and the Jews of Europe. Both were used to being caricatured. Both were partly assimilated. Both were partly rejected by the states in which they lived.
Partly the identification with the Jews is the time Joyce is writing. The Jews are a people without a state. The Irish are a people without a state of their own. So they're in search of that state. But also they have the freedom of not being bound by the limitations of a state. So they're absolved of a certain political responsibility.
But for all the similarities, Joyce knew that anti-Semitism was part of Irish culture. It surfaces throughout the novel, even in songs like this one, which describes the ritual murder of a Christian child by a Jewish woman.
It rained, it poured, it rained so hard all day, that all the boys in my school came out to talk and play. They tossed the ball again so high, then and again so low. They tossed it in a flower garden where no one was allowed to go. I'd step this Jewish lady, all dressed in yellow and green. Come in, my sweet little boy, fetch your ball again. I won't come in, I can't come in without my playmates all. I'll go get my father, I'll tell him about it. That'll cause tears to fall.
It's all that Joyce hated about the Ireland of his youth and that he left behind. And it is that rancid bigotry and violence that's a permanent feature of Ireland.
1904 was the year of an Irish pogrom in Limerick, when a Catholic priest incited a confraternity to drive the Jews out of that city.
The anti-Semitism in Limerick was traced to one event in the year of Ulysses, 1904. And it took place on a street near where we lived. And that was known as the Street of the Jews. And so there were money lenders and shylocks and so on. And the men from the confraternity went down to the street and they were shaking their fists and yelling and inviting the Jews to come out and be hanged. And an invitation they declined.
She first showed him an apple seed, and then again a gold ring. Then she showed him a diamond that enticed him in. She took him by his lily white hand, led him through the hall. She placed him in an upper room where no one could hear him call.
In 1904, the majority of Jews were recent immigrants seeking asylum in Ireland.
Racism is always an issue in any city, and any city is always going to be a multicultural place, regardless of whether it's recognised or not. I think Bloom has to carry the burden of that, and he does it really brilliantly. Are you more Irish than somebody else because both your parents are Irish, or are you less Irish because you were born outside of Ireland, or your complexion is darker or paler? All these things are up for grabs.
I'll take these silver rings off my fingers, smoke 'em with your breath. If my dear mother should call for me, tell her I'm at rest. Burn the Bible at my head. Come on and wash my feet. If my dear father should call for me, tell him I am dead.